Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today guys, we're diving into the world of Bitcoin and specifically to take a look at the price action of BTC. We're going to be taking a look at the daily chart and of course the hourly chart to see exactly what might happen next and what my expectations are for the month of October. Guys, as we get into this video, if you do find it useful and informative, hit that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, do subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here. With this said, done, and out of the way, let's dive down into the world of Bitcoin. Right, we're going to start things with this daily chart, guys. There's something I really want to kind of just bring up to everyone's attention and why I have been bullish on Bitcoin and, of course, the entire crypto space for pretty much this entire year so far. Obviously, we can see that there is a nice correction wave. This took a lot of people by surprise. Lots of fear in the market, lots of selling, calling bear markets, all sorts of stuff like this. Ultimately, we are interesting moves have happened most recently. We have Bitcoin pulling back over here. We had the real estate over in China getting affected over this side. But overall, we are looking for a good surge to the upside, right? And there are some patterns that are forming here on this daily chart. I'm going to go through those first with you. And then obviously, we're going to dive down into what's been going on most recently. So to start with, we are going to talk about the current performance. Okay, so we can see that over here, pretty much from the start of the bull run back in 2020, we have surged up 1,600%, and that takes us from March 2020 through to the peak up here in April of 2021. Now from here, that was 1,600%, but we did pull back, right? So we pulled back a reasonable amount, more than maybe people were comfortable with, but I'll show you the percentage on that if I can just get this lined up for us. There we go. And then we pulled back down to this area here. So we lost 55.6%, right? So a pretty significant pullback was had during this fourth wave correction, right? And again, up here, send here, we were forming the Wyckoff distribution pattern. Down here, we had started to form a Wyckoff accumulation pattern. And then obviously we surged out of this area as well. Recent pullbacks in this area, but again, we are expecting some interesting things to occur in the very near future. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull up this chart here, this Fibonacci retracement, just to talk about what's been going on, right? So based on the current performance of the high of wave 3, the low of wave 4, this Fibonacci allows us to see a 4.236 extension coming in at $181,500. So $181,000 should be the peak of where we are going, in my opinion, and that should be an area that we should be targeting quite nicely. Now, obviously, on that journey, there are a few areas that we have to be quite cautious over and aware of, right? So one is obviously the 1.618 coming in at about 87k, the 2.618 coming in at $123,000, sorry, the 3.618 coming in at $159,000. Okay, so these will be areas that will get traded quite heavily, in my opinion. And again, all of this is in line with the stock to flow model. Everything that we've seen so far is pretty much in line with that stock to flow model. So everything should be pushing up once we exit out of September, in my opinion. So when we start thinking about historic movements, month of September has been a historic month for pullback, so this is not unsurprising. It's almost self-fulfilling to a degree, right? Everyone in preparation of knowing that September is coming do kind of gear up for a big sell, and therefore actually causes a whole month of pullbacks in itself, right? Specifically if you're trading a particular area. So the first pullback was understandable, right? Then obviously trying to work our way back through, trading sideways. Then obviously the real estate market over in China had a bit of an impact, right? So pulling back down, taking us into some interesting low areas for accumulation, and now we're building back up again. We take a look at the stochastic, right? And this is an interesting tell as well. So we'll be checking this one. It is, of course, this downward trend on our stochastic RSI. Now, what we have done here is actually touched on an interesting point, and then we see are surging up right now. We want to see whether or not we are going to move up, bounce from this area, and then pull back down into an oversold area before breaking, or whether or not we actually just surge on through, break the trend altogether, and go back up into the overbought area. This would be an anticipation for me personally, because on the daily chart here, it's not many days left before we actually exit out of September. So we could expect maybe one pullback here on the stochastic for a couple of days, and once we get into September, then we surge back up into the overbought area. Now, we can, of course, be up in the overbought area for quite some time, as we have seen previously. And we can, of course, lower our stochastic RSI, even though we are pushing the price up. It's just not optimized. So although we are looking to downward trend on our stochastic RSI, it's too early to tell whether or not this trend is going to hold. I do not generally like trend lines all too much in isolation. You need to kind of utilize those with support and resistance lines to get the best impact from them. But overall, we are cautious over this, but I do think that once we close out of September and go into October, we are in a pretty good position. Now, let me just remove that from the chart for a second. And what we're going to do now is actually talk about what's been going on with this daily chart. Now, it's really clear on the weekly as well, but I'm just going to do it on the daily so you can see it in a little bit easier. But basically, from the high of 3 all the way down to the low of 4, back up to where we surged and back down. This is a cup and handle pattern. So what we're looking at here is basically, if I can actually draw a cup and handle, there's a cup and handle coming down, and then a surge to the upside, right? So once we get out of September and go into October, there's going to be a huge pump on Bitcoin. And this pattern here actually has a really interesting area that we do resonate well with, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw up a Fibonacci retracement tool. So this is the easiest way to kind of get your target for your cup and handle. Okay, so I'm just going to basically, actually, I'm going to draw it over here out of the way so we can see it in a little bit more detail. But what we're going to do is basically take our cup and handle pattern. Okay, so let me grab my pen here. We're going to take the cup and handle. We're going to go up to the high of the right-hand side here. Okay, and then we're going to pull it back down to wherever we come on our handle section, and then we get this surge to the upside. And 9 times out of 10, we are going to stop at this area here. This is the 1.618, okay? Taking into consideration the high of our right-hand side of our cup, okay, or the beginning of our handle, if you will, and the bottom of our actual cup itself, right? Take that into consideration on a Fibonacci retracement tool, and most targets actually end up at this 1.618 area. So therefore, Bitcoin should be moving up towards $67,792 in the month of October. So a pretty good surge is looking ahead here. So we should be looking for some interesting moves. So when we start seeing pullbacks in Bitcoin, knowing that this is the pattern that's forming, and what we usually see when this pattern does actually form, is a good surge to the upside. Overall, if I actually grab hold of our current position and throw in a percentage on that, that shows us moving up 51.3% from our current position. And in my opinion, that should actually come in at, pretty much to be delivered in October. And again, this is very much in line with what Plan B was saying in terms of, the stock to flow model as well. So he called 43K in the month of September. He called 60K in the month of October, right? And again, we actually see this now forming on the charts here, and it should actually come in at about 67,792. So overall, Bitcoin's in a pretty good position on this daily chart. Now, there is, of course, some volatility on the smaller time frames, right? It's hard to ignore that. So let's jump down into our hourly, and here we can see some interesting moves that are happening right now, right? So we had the pull back, we have a good surge to the upside. Now, obviously being overbought during this move, which is fantastic. We're up here for a while. We pulled back down into our oversold area with a small pullback just here. And again, most recently, this pullback that we heard last night, pulling a bit of the market down with it, takes us back to the oversold area. Now we're surging right the way back up again. And we can see that we've already taken out all of that correction that we've just had, all that fear that people who were selling, okay, during that kind of pullback, has been bought up already, and we're not even out of the oversold area, right? So we've got loads of room now to grow. We should be targeting at least 46K, in my opinion, on the next move to the upside. So it'll be interesting to see if we hit 46K today, or whether that comes in the next couple of days. But we are looking to continue this surge to the upside. We've broken the trend lines to the downside. If I actually bring this down, we can take a look at this. And we find the good starting position up here. We can see that the overall trend is, this is one that we're looking at here. On the smaller time frame, we've definitely broken that down. And what we want to look for now is, get my trend line back, this pattern up there. This is far too steep, guys, so I think we are not likely to hold this one for too long. But ultimately, we're looking for this triangular wedge. We find that we found support here. We're looking up at trying to intersect with our downward trend, break that downward trend altogether, and then we should start to see a good surge to the upside. But 46K is not far from our current position, priced at 44,860. So I think that we should be targeting 46K quite comfortably. There is going to be resistance there, an area of previous resistance, but also previous support. So this is an area that we want to be kind of really monitoring. I imagine that our upward trend will be invalidated at that point, and we'll just have to readjust this line. So I will actually just remove that temporarily, but the downward trend is one that we're looking to breach, something that we're looking to kind of move on through. And again, we have obviously invalidated so many of these on that journey as well. So right now, when we're taking a look at these kind of moves, we can see that that one there is resonating really well with us, something that I do anticipate us surging straight the way through in this particular day, right? So So in the next few hours, I imagine we're just going to come right way past that area. So overall, the current performance, it is still volatile, but we are seeing a bit of a road to recovery here. We are looking to surge up. And again, on the larger timeframes, you know, 67K is something that I'm seeing for the month of October. And overall, everything's looking very, very good on the world of Bitcoin. So everything's looking pretty tidy. So do expect some volatility on the smaller timeframes. We'll surge up today, in my opinion, find resistance, pull back a little bit. And again, that sentiment isn't quite where it needs to be just yet. We have a look at the volume. You can see that there are pockets of people buying, okay, but not terribly too much. And what we need to see is a growth in that volume first to see that good sentiment come in. And then when we are dropping the price, we want to see the volume drop with it. We actually had a pretty flat volume during this correction, which is good, but it's not perfect. So in due course, I think we're going to start to see a very good surge to the upside overall for Bitcoin. Now, I'm going to leave the video there, guys. Obviously, I hope you have found this video useful and informative. If you have, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe? Tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With that said, done and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.